Hi, I'm Mary Millard. The Lecom Healthy Living Kitchen is all about healthy cooking done tastefully. So today we are here at a regional treasure, Pineapple Eddie Southern Bistro, where we'll speak to the owners and Chef John Paul. Then we'll head into the kitchen to put together a flavorful barbecue pork tenderloin sandwich with slaw. And then a savory dish of a Southern classic shrimp and grits. Let's get cooking. I am happy to be here today at a local restaurant in Erie called Pineapple Eddie, and we have the owners with us. We have Karen Thomas, we have her sister Adrienne Paul, and her husband and chef John Paul. So we're going to talk a little bit about the restaurant that is real. How long has the restaurant been open?
We've been open now in this facility since April of last year.
April of 2012?
Yes.
And how many covers do you have in the restaurant?
Let's see, we are approximately about 75 covers.
About 75 covers,
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So the cuisine here is Southern and Caribbean, and maybe, John Paul, you could talk a little bit about how you kind of came up with that concept, and is that near and dear to your heart?
Well, considering I've been doing this for about 35 years, starting in New York City, which I have cooked with different chefs and different cooks in this industry. Asian, American, Caribbean is my background. I am from Haiti. I moved to the state when I was 6 years old, and been here for all this time, never been back home yet. And this is all I've done but cooking. I have never had another job but cooking, and I love cooking. It is from the heart. When you cook from the heart, you can never go wrong.
Which Southern food really is kind of that cooking from the heart to that good old soul food a little bit.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the name Pineapple Eddie?
Well, pineapple is the international symbol of hospitality. And Eddie is a nickname that my dad's staff used to give him. He had his own catering company in Brooklyn, New York. And so they called him Eddie for short. His name was Edgar. So we named it after him.
I love it. What a great story.
Yeah.
Well, I ate here just about a week ago, and everything was wonderful. The shrimp and grits, the sea bass, the whole sea bass, head and all. It was really wonderful. And the mussels, or the calamari that you created was fabulous. What would you say is the biggest challenge? I know you guys are busy, because when I was here, the line was going out the door. Will you kind of stay on the Caribbean and Southern theme of your menu? Will that evolve at all? I mean, I don't know if you've had discussions about this.
Southern food has many dynamics. I mean, there's a lot of influence down in the South. I mean, when the United States was originally colonized, people came from different places. So it's got African influence, it's got Caribbean influence, it's got Native American influence. So there are a lot of things that can still be had. I mean, we just have probably touched the surface in terms of Southern regional cuisine. I mean, we really haven't delved into all the things that could possibly be offered, and certainly we'll probably tweak some of the things that are on the menu seasonally. But I think that one of the things that has made the menu pretty favorable as it is now is the fact that people can come here, and if they're not really interested in going too far off the map, there are things that they can recognize with a different spin on them.
Right.
They're very flavorful, and if they really want to go off the map, the specials satisfy that desire for people to do so.
Well, I appreciate your time talking to us today, and I encourage our viewers to go, and I should say come and check out Pineapple Eddie, where you will be welcome. So thanks so much for talking to us today.
Thank you.
You're
very
welcome.
much.
You're welcome. After visiting Pineapple Eddie, I got a little bit inspired to cook some Southern food. So today we are going to make a delicious pork tenderloin sandwich, a barbecued pork sandwich, and it's a little bit of a take on, I love pulled pork sandwiches, I love barbecue, but it's not always the lowest in saturated fat. So I found this recipe, I love it, I cook it for my kids, they love it. You start with about a 1 pound pork tenderloin. I have 2, I'm only gonna use 1 today, but this is probably about 1 1/3 pounds. This is about a pound. And if you look closely, there is some what they call sinew and some muscle here. I'm just gonna go ahead and trim that off for you. I just want you to see all sides of it. You wanna trim all visible signs of fat. So I'm gonna put that right down here. And you just take the tip of your knife and kind of get under that sinew. And if I had a thinner knife, that might work a little bit better. And I'm putting the blade of my knife up towards it. I don't want to take off too much meat there. And you can just pull it back and it takes it off really nice right there. So here's some exposed fat as well. Gonna trim that up. And just like with any, I guess, meat or poultry product, you want to trim the visible fat if you can, and it'll just make it a little bit healthier, get rid of that saturated fat. I have a friend that eats a lot of pork product, not pork product, I shouldn't say pork product, a lot of high cholesterol product. Pork is not really that high cholesterol compared to other meats and poultries, but, and his cholesterol is pretty high. So we're trying to trim this recipe down. Once you have the sinew and visible signs of fat cleared away, use your favorite barbecue sauce. Have some right here. We have some really great local barbecue sauce here in Erie, Pennsylvania too. So I'm gonna go ahead and brush the tenderloin with the barbecue sauce, and then I'm gonna season it really well with salt and pepper. I'm gonna put it in a 375-degree oven for about, about 25 minutes until it reaches between 145 and 150 Fahrenheit. And that will be nice and medium. You take it out of the oven, we're gonna let it rest, and it will continue to cook. And probably the finished temperature is gonna be about 155 degrees. You see, I have the meat right here on this cutting board. So, you know, in order to prevent cross-contamination, getting foodborne illness from mixing raw meats, fish, poultry with fresh vegetables, etc., I'm gonna go ahead and take this cutting board off when I'm done using it. And I'm gonna wash my hands really well too. So you have to really be conscious of that. Wash your hands after touching raw meat or fish or poultry. So I seasoned that pretty well. I have a pan prepared here. I just put a little bit of vegetable cooking spray in it. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the pan. I want a little bit more salt and pepper on this side. And I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the preheated oven, and we'll take it out. We'll check it in about 20 minutes. So the barbecued pork sandwich gets topped with coleslaw. Make it easy on yourself. Go to the grocery store and buy the coleslaw that's already in the bags. It is cabbage and carrots. Doesn't look like much, but we're gonna dress it up a little bit. So we have a mix right here, and I'm gonna add about 2 scallions that I chopped up. Scallions or spring onions, gonna put those in. I'm gonna add a little bit of light mayonnaise. Whoops, oh, that came flying out. Actually, just a couple tablespoons of light mayonnaise. And not too much, because we don't want to overdo it. I may have to add a little bit more. I'm going to add some apple cider vinegar. Just a little bit here. And water, which will kind of loosen up the mayonnaise a little bit. Okay, add some salt and pepper to your mix. And there you go. If you like cilantro, you can chop some cilantro and put it in here as well. Radishes, really anything. You can get this done a couple hours ahead of time. And just gonna mix that up till it's pretty well combined. That looks good. It's not too heavy. A lot of the coleslaws that you buy at the grocery store that are already prepared have a lot of dressing in them, like a mayonnaise mixture, and they can be pretty heavy in fat. So this is a nice, light, crispy coleslaw. And do not forget, you always want to just taste it, make sure it's seasoned. That's good. Okay, so while we're still waiting for the pork, I'm gonna set that aside. I have a pan right here that is on kind of medium heat. Yeah, that's good. The bottom is hot. Yes, it's hot. And I have some nice whole wheat rolls here, whole wheat hamburger buns. I'm gonna break them open. You don't have to do this. You can put them right, or you can put the pork right on this if you'd like, but I just kind of like to get these a little bit warm and a little bit toasted. So I go ahead and spray a little vegetable oil on these. I'm gonna put them in the pan and toast them. Might have to do a couple at a time. Just get them in the pan and get them a little toasted. I toasted the buns in a non-stick skillet. The coleslaw is ready. The pork tenderloin came out of the oven. It's been resting about 5 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and slice it very thin, drizzle with a little barbecue sauce, put the coleslaw on top, and it's ready to roll. When I serve these at home, I love making sweet potato fries, really easy recipe. You could just go ahead and peel some sweet potatoes, and then you put them in a bowl, drizzle a little bit of olive oil on them, and some chopped rosemary, fresh or dried, and put them in a hot oven until they're cooked through, about a 400-degree oven for maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. Really, really good. And it's a great accompaniment to this. So this looks beautiful. It looks perfectly cooked. Okay, so we have a toasted bun. So this serves 4, so I'm gonna take about a quarter of this pork. I'm gonna load it on here. So that's gonna be about, let me see, about a little under 4 ounces of cooked meat. Because there's always shrink when you cook meat or poultry, so we started off with about 16 ounces. So it's gonna be a little bit under, maybe 3.5 ounces. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and drizzle a little bit of, this looks good. Just, you don't really need very much barbecue sauce, but again, that is your preference. Wipe my hands down here, and the best part, some delicious, crunchy coleslaw. I'm gonna go ahead, put that on top. If I was at home, I'd probably just use my hands, my clean, clean hands. Put that. Got the bun on top. Gonna put some chips on the side. And I think I have some hungry crew here. So you guys try this at home. Check out the recipe on www.cookhealthytoday.com. And bon appetit. Once in a while, I have the privilege of email correspondence from our viewers via our website at cookhealthytoday.com. More recently, I received an email from a viewer. I really enjoy watching your show and learning about not only healthy meal options, but also regional vendors. The only concern I have is that you frequently touch and handle raw meats, but rarely wash your hands afterwards. Robert, you are right. The Lecom Healthy Living Kitchen is about healthy living, but sometimes in TV land, we may not always show the hand washing that is actually being done due to edits and cuts of the producers after the fact. But it is something that I do, something extremely important. Not quite as important as my children, but it is very important, and it is something that I truly believe in. Clean hands. When I wash my hands, I start out with setting the temperature of the water as hot as I can stand it, rinsing first, then lathering up with soap. I wash my hands, scrubbing in between my fingers, under my nails for 20 seconds or so, about the time it takes to sing the happy birthday song twice. So we'll be certain to ensure that the final edits of our program show the hand washing process, an important step to keeping you safe from so many of the nasty germs that live on raw meat and in your kitchen. So our next Southern flavored recipe is shrimp and grits. really simple to make and traditionally very, very Southern. First thing I'm gonna do is get my pan hot on the burner, and I'm gonna add 2 cups of water and 2 cups of milk. Now, I've tried this at home with fat-free or skim milk. I would say the lowest you want to go is like 1%, 2% is really the best for this. So I'm going to go ahead, get the milk and the water, bring it to a boil, and we're going to go ahead and cook the grits. So while I'm waiting for this to boil, I'll put a lid on. Maybe it'll happen a little bit more quickly, but I have some stone ground grits. That's what you're looking for, like a stone ground grit. You do not want instant grits. How else are they called? Fast cooking grits. You want the stone ground grits. Now, you're saying, what is a grit? A grit is just basically finely ground corn, and you may see them as white hominy grits or just plain stone ground grits. I usually go for the stone ground grits. The research that I have done shows that the hominy grits are washed, the actual corn is washed in a bath of water and lye. Now that may sound delicious to you, it doesn't really to me. If you do use the hominy grits, you do want to rinse them in water before you cook them. So, so basically it's just very, very fine. It's in the polenta and cornmeal family. Cornmeal is ground a little bit finer. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure a cup of the grits. And there we go, about 1 cup. And grits, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to cook the grits. So while we wait for this water to boil, I'm just gonna show you that I have some greens here. We have arugula and baby spinach, about 1 pound total. They're clean. If you have a salad spinner, run them through the salad spinner if they're a little bit damp. So I do have the greens. I also have about 1 pound of peeled and deveined large shrimp. So what I do want to do with the shrimp is to go ahead and chop the shrimp, and I'm just going to put them in kind of nice chunky pieces here so we can taste that shrimp when the grits are cooked. And what I love about this recipe is really you cook the grits, and once they are cooked, and the water has evaporated, the water and milk has evaporated, you add a little bit more chicken stock and finish it off with a little bit of heavy cream. You could add all chicken stock if you'd like, but again, everything in moderation. And then you put a little bit of Parmesan cheese. And so you have nice hot grits, and you're gonna throw in the shrimp, and it will cook the shrimp because shrimp just takes a few minutes to cook. It'll cook right there in the hot grits. And then you fold in the greens. And I also like to leave some of the greens for the bowl that I typically serve this dish in, and put a little bit in the bottom of the bowl. You'll see that coming up. And put the hot grits and shrimp and greens on top. So grits is also a really good breakfast item in the South. A lot of people have grits for breakfast in the South. Maybe just a little bit of butter, a little bit of cheese, a little bit of bacon, a little bit of bacon grease. So let's see how we're doing here. Oh my gosh, we are looking so good. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stir in, I do wanna add some salt. Okay, and I do wanna turn this down before it boils over. Great. Okay, how is that for timing? All right, this can happen at home. So, all right, I added a little bit of salt to that. I'm gonna go ahead and get a spoon and stir in the grits. And I'm gonna bring it back to a boil. There we go. Nice. And you wanna stir them in. Great. Now it looks really watery right now, very liquidy, but you'll see as it cooks, it's going to get thick, and it's like, you may hear the term mush or porridge, and that is kind of all, it turns into kind of that consistency. It doesn't sound very appealing, I know. When the grits are cooked, they should still have the kernel or the bran in the grit, in the actual corn is still in there, so there should still be a little bit of bite to the grits. So we're gonna just cook these for about 15 minutes, I think. So I do wanna add some chopped garlic to the milk, the water, and the grits. Okay. Just gonna start talking in a Southern accent, because I love to. Up here north in Erie. I actually had a friend when I lived in Washington, D.C., and she lived in Washington, and she was pregnant, and she was gonna deliver in Washington, D.C., and her husband insisted that she deliver in Virginia. So the baby is a Southerner. I just didn't get it, but anyway. So I added the garlic to this. Ooh, it's looking good. It's getting nice, starting to get thick. And as it continues to get thick, I'm gonna add a little bit more chicken stock until it gets to the right consistency. And I'm gonna go ahead and blot the moisture off of these. I'm gonna use a clean towel and blot the moisture off the shrimp. And again, here, to avoid cross-contamination, I'm gonna make sure I don't use this cutting board to cut any raw vegetables on it. So we'll take that and get it cleaned right afterwards. Okay, so you're seeing how the grits are starting to burp. I'm calling it burping, and you don't really want it to do that. It looks like Yellowstone, one of the geysers or something before it's ready to blow. So you want to turn down the heat a little bit, and you want to add some chicken stock. And again, you could choose to use cream instead, but I don't want to add. I'm gonna add some cream, but at the end. Go ahead and add some chicken stock to this, and you're gonna continue to cook it for a couple more minutes. It's getting there. Actually, it's probably only gonna take about 15 minutes max for this. And I just tasted it when I was off camera, and it still has a little bit of a bite to it, a little bit too much of a bite, so I'm gonna cook it for a little bit longer. So the grits look just about to be done. I'm gonna add a little bit of cream, finish it off with, and I'm also gonna add some butter. Okay, and I know I have some butter here, right here. Get a spoon. Add some butter to this recipe. You could also use butter alternatives. Again, if you were looking to cut back on your saturated fat. Now, if your friends and family don't love you after this recipe, they don't know food. That's all I could say. I'm gonna season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Nice consistency. And as grits starts to cool, it does kind of solidify a little bit. So just kind of FYI, I'm gonna go ahead and add the shrimp to the grits. You'll see them turning red, pink in there. This is about a pound of shrimp. You could go ahead and add a little bit more if you wanted. You could use scallops as well, or you could sear scallops and serve on top of the grits. So this is just a nice, homey, hearty, delicious dinner, actually. There we go. Just takes a couple minutes, heat through, cook the shrimp, and when that's cooked through, we'll go ahead and add the greens. So it looks great. It did take about almost 5 minutes for the shrimp to cook through. So right now I'm gonna add you can add between 1 and 2 cups of Parmesan cheese. I'm gonna save a little bit for the top and just kind of stir that in. Let the goodness begin. That looks great. Now I'm gonna add some of my greens. Again, I'm just gonna kind of stir those in. I guess I need a bigger pot here. Could have used a bigger pot, my next size up. Nice. It's about a pound of greens, but actually this looks nice. It adds color with the shrimp. The shrimp is pink in there. I don't know if you can see in the overhead camera, but it looks really lovely. Now we're gonna go ahead and serve this up. This serves between 4 and 6 people, And to serve it up, really simple, very rustic. We're gonna go ahead and get a bowl here. And, oh my gosh. This is my kind of meal here. All right. Try not to make a mess on my bowl here. This is really nice served in a bowl. Actually, something just like this. All right. And that is definitely a nice, hearty, healthy serving. And you can start by putting some of the greens in the bottom of the bowl if you would like as well, or you can just move them around the side like this. Put that one out of there. And I'm gonna finish it off with a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and it is ready to go. So all I can say is, kiss my grits.
Get your recipes today at cookhealthytoday.com.